Buenos and half a day. The Committee on Health, Land, Justice, and Culture is now calling this confirmation hearing to order. Today is Thursday, August 8th. The time is now 2:03 p.m. In compliance with open government law, notices for these public hearings, notices were published on the Guam Daily Post and posted to the Governor of Guam public notice portal on Thursday, August 1st for the 5-day notice and Tuesday, August 6th for the 48-hour notice. Notices were sent via email to all senators and all main media broadcasting outlets. This hearing is being live streamed on Guam Legislature's YouTube channel. I'd like to acknowledge my colleague who's here today, Senator Roy Kanata. Thank you. So just general rules of conduct. Individuals testifying shall first be recognized by the chair before speaking and begin by stating their name for record-keeping purposes. In an effort to minimize distractions, while someone is testifying before the committee asks those present to please be quiet and refrain from moving around within the public hearing room. Additionally, we have asked protocol to keep the doors closed. Individuals who are presenting oral testimony are invited to submit written testimony afterwards in order to ensure their input is accurately transcribed. And after testifying, panelists will only be allowed to speak again in direct response to questioning or invitation of a senator who has the floor or at the discretion of the committee chair. After all have testified, senators will be recognized for questioning of the panel or comments on comments, and they shall not interrupt any other senators or any person testifying. This hearing is to collect testimony and not to debate or to engage in back and forth arguments with participants. Berating of any of the witnesses will not be allowed. If you ask a question, allow them to answer. So the agenda item for today is to hear testimony in the reappointment of Dr. Gregory J. Cruz to serve as a member respiratory therapy representative of the Guam Board of Allied Health Examiners for a term of 3 years from the date of confirmation appointment. So we would now like to proceed with this agenda item is to hear the testimony on the reappointment of Dr. Gregory J. Cruz to serve as a member of the Respiratory Therapy Representative Guam Board of Allied Health Examiners for a term of 3 years from the date of confirmation appointment. Before we hear testimony, I'd just like to read the applicable sections in the law of 10 GCA Chapter 12, Section 12803 of the Guam Board of Allied Health Examiners. So there is established in and for the Governor of Guam a Guam Board of Allied Health Examiners composed of a representative from each of the professions being examined for licensure, who is nominated by the Governor with the advice and consent of the legislature. This includes acupuncture, audiology, chiropractic, clinical psychology, licensed professional counselor, licensed medical health counselor, marriage and family therapist, clinical dietitian, nutritionist, occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech-language pathology, respiratory therapy, veterinary medicine, and shall appoint additional members for any other allied health profession being examined. So the term shall be for a period of 3 years, and we're here to hear testimony on the reappointment for the respiratory representative. So some of the duties of the members of this board is to receive and review and investigate reports and complaints received from law enforcement agencies, healthcare organizations, governmental agencies, insurers, and other entities having information pertinent to the professional performance of a licensee. So this is one of the very important main roles of the board members. Okay, and then, so now I'd like to open up the floor for any testimony. Currently, we don't have any written testimony received. But at this time, I would like to open the floor for the nominee himself. Good afternoon, Dr. Cruz, and appreciate if you provide your testimony, and please state your name for record-keeping purposes. If you can press the button, it should light up. Yeah, there you go.
Good afternoon, Senator Kanata. My name is Gregory J. Cruz, and for the record, I'm not a physician. I'm a registered respiratory therapist. And I was asked to be reinstated to the board, and that's why I'm here too.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Appreciate it. Yeah, please proceed.
This is actually my first confirmation hearing. I don't know what to say other than I've served on the board before, and I'm happy to be reappointed. The board serves a very important function, and that's to ensure that allied health professionals are, the applicants are vetted and that they're qualified for their positions, and also to hear any complaints out there about any licensee of the Allied Health Board.
Okay, does that conclude your testimony?
Maybe I should give some history on myself. I've been a respiratory therapist since 1980, so I've been 44 years as a respiratory therapist. I graduated from Loma Linda University, and I've been working. I worked in the States for about 10 years, and I came back to Guam. So I've been working here, and this July was. The end of this last July 31st was my 36th year at working for GovGuam. That's all.
Well, congratulations on your longevity of the career. I know this is one of those specialized practices that are really needed and very much important here. And I understand that you are now working at GRMC, or is that past?
I'm working at both places.
Okay. Yeah, they just recently established a lung and infectious disease
Yes.
division there.
Yes.
So is that where you're working currently? Are you
Well,
helping out with that?
I'm in charge of the respiratory therapists that work there, but we work with the physicians, the pulmonologists.
Okay, yeah, that's a very important division, I think.
Yeah.
So glad that you're a part of that. And you graduated from Loma Linda.
Yes.
Okay, good school. Do you foresee any conflicts of interest working on this board and serving as a respiratory therapist?
No. I can't. I don't see any conflict of interest.
Okay, and you don't have any business interests currently?
No.
Okay. Do you foresee any potential conflicts of interest?
For myself,
yes.
Serving on the board, no.
Yeah, because I think one of the difficult things is policing your industry, right? That's one of the hard things, I think.
Yeah.
Do you feel that you are you can basically carry out that role and be in the industry as well? How comfortable are you when, let's say a complaint comes before the board and it's your basically a colleague in the industry? Are you prepared to make those decisions? Well, first of all, you have to investigate, obviously, but are you prepared to make the decisions should the licensure be revoked?
Absolutely. It's an important function because of the criticality of the profession, and you want to make sure that if there's any kind of complaint and, if it's warranted, it needs to be investigated. And, whatever the outcome is, it should be solid. Your determination of what happened should be solid. Just one thing, I don't think the board has, and maybe I don't know, I should testify here, but the board doesn't seem to have any teeth, and there's a lot of bark but no bite, because there's a lot of complaints. If you go look at the complaints, a lot of it has not been resolved. So, the problem is getting, because the island is so small, that you need to get, like if there's a complaint about a respiratory therapist, everybody on the island knows that respiratory therapist. So they need to, get an independent practitioner to look into it. And therein lies the problem, because you have to go off island to get one. And so there's still pending cases with the board from 2-3 years ago that hasn't been resolved.
Okay, so what is the fix for that, you see? What is the remedy? Because you're saying there's 2 to 3 years, there hasn't been a resolution on any particular...
Because we have to, yeah, because they have to look for an independent, RT to look into the case, to do their own investigation, because it can't be anybody on the island, right? Because everybody on the island knows each other. So I think while that might be great, when it comes to investigating each other, there's conflict of interest. So then these things tend to drag on, where, they're waiting for this investigator or this decision or that, and it just drags on.
Yeah, because I'm reading the law, so it basically states that, of course, you have to carry out hearings, subpoena, issue subpoenas, receive testimony, and then institute actions in its own name and enjoin violators of the Allied Health Practice Act.
Yeah.
So you're saying that there's the missing step. Is there a missing step that needs to be added to this list to ensure that there's resolution?
I think the steps are there, Senator. It's just that, getting there it's a long process. I think 2-3 years to resolve a complaint, or, to determine if there was, wrongdoing. 2 to 3 years to get that resolved is just too long.
Because you were looking for outside
Yeah, so, the RT...
respiratory therapists to make that call?
For instance, there was a complaint for, for a respiratory therapist on island, but that hasn't been resolved. That was 22, I think, or 20, I don't know what year that was, but you have to look for somebody from off island to, and then you gotta hire them, and then, they got to look into it, and by the time that gets done, 2 or 3 years have passed. I think that's just too long.
Okay.
But, that's my opinion.
So this is something maybe perhaps the oversight chair...
Yeah, because you were asking me if am I willing to, absolutely, I'm willing to look into it, and as part of the board, that's our job, right? We are put in there to ensure that, the practitioners are practicing in a safe manner.
So the current, like for you, since you're representing the respiratory therapist, so you just stated earlier that you're able or prepared to make a call should the evidence exist, right? So
right.
So explain to me why you can't make that call.
Because I can't be the investigator, because that particular respiratory therapist that was named in the complaint, I know personally.
Okay, so you have to recuse yourself.
So there's a conflict of interest, and that will go with just about every respiratory therapist on island, because they all know each other. There's not very many respiratory therapists out there or on island.
Okay. So what steps have you taken, though, in this last term to ensure the board fulfills its mandates?
Well, when we attend the meetings, we listen to there's usually an agenda, and we have to do our part to, like for licensure, we vet the applicants to make sure that they have all their, they're qualified for the position. And not every applicant that we've had for licensure on Guam has been granted a license, because some of them don't qualify.
Okay. All right, thank you. And have you been able to balance your current work responsibilities with the duties of the board?
Absolutely, yeah.
How often do you meet as a board?
The board meets every, once a month.
Once a month?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think those are my questions. We did receive, thanks to the staff, they pointed out that we did receive testimony from Mami Balahaja, and so they're in support of your nomination. And to ensure there's representation, which is really important for your expertise. Okay, I think at this point, I guess the other question I have is, for the upcoming term, what is your plan what is your vision as a member of this board? Is there anything else that you would like to do in addition to carrying out the mandates of the board? What do you see you would like to make some contribution towards?
Honestly, I don't really have any plans for introducing any new programs or steps for the process. Or when they asked me to be reappointed, I'm happy to do that. I'm really looking forward to retirement. But it's been and I am going to help also look for the next appointee. Mm-hmm. Once my term is done, I think serving in this board is important, and we need to have the right person on there.
So I know you play a regulatory role, but I'm just thinking, the public out there listening, how can we attract more respiratory therapists? What do you think Guam needs to do to increase those numbers here?
That's a tough question because first of all, there's no school on the island, right? So the closest would be Kapiolani, so in Hawaii, and I think probably the salary, but I know GMH has and GRMC, they're trying to improve the salaries to help recruit, but it's mainly that I know we currently at GMH we have travelers. We're still using travelers as their respiratory therapist, and so it's hard. Those travelers are coming out. I mean, they come out here because they're getting a good wage, and when a respiratory therapist hears what those travelers are making, it's very discouraging for the locals, because, wow, you're making, what, 40, 50 bucks more than I am, and we're doing the same thing, but that's just the way it is. I'm here because, I'm Chamorro, and I want to be here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I see there's even, there's a lack of experts throughout, not just Guam, but throughout the nation, right? So, yeah, if there's any advice that you can give us in regards to even working with, Dr. Cotta at GCC, maybe we could develop a program to, to create more of a pipeline.
Absolutely.
For these experts that we need.
Idea, Senator, and I think there are some RTs that are currently looking into that possibility, because you're talking about Guam, the Marianas, and maybe even Micronesia. When I was director or the manager of the RT department at GMH, there was an online program that I told some of the workers about the RTs. They were not therapists, so I was their instructor for this college, and we had our medical director was Dr. Duenas. We actually had about 5 technicians successfully complete the program online doing clinical at GMH, and they took the same boards that I took going to a college, a university, and they're even, there's some supplement credentials that you could take, and they passed all of those. So I think it's a testament to what we are doing at GMH. It's not like a lot of the things that are going on in the States or, what they're learning in school, they're not seeing at GMH because they are. So, but the problem is that the school started treating us like a foreign country. And so they dropped Guam as being eligible for the program. I was thinking about talking to maybe one of the congressmen to help us to ask the school if they could consider us again to be in that online program, and maybe the legislature could help with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, just we need to revisit that conversation, because it once existed, so we just need to maybe advocate for that a little bit better. Okay, so yeah, looking forward to that. And I know if you're looking towards a retirement, maybe hopefully you can still be a mentor for the next generation of respiratory therapists here on Guam. That would be wonderful. And also working with Dr. Enriquez, president of EOG as well, with the health department there. Okay, I have no other questions at this time, so I would like to acknowledge my colleague, Senator Kanata, if he has any questions for the nominee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So just want to say Mr. Cruz for being here today. I would just like to advise the committee that I am technically related to Mr. Cruz and let the record reflect that. I also want to recognize Mr. Cruz's commitment for returning back to the island. I understand you stated you're only here because you're tomorrow, but I think you just love our people, our island, and our community more than anything, right? Because you continue to serve even though you're ready to retire. So, about the board's efforts to regular license practitioners effectively, what strategies do you propose to enhance transparency and accountability for the licensing practices? I think my colleague did state this earlier, but do you think that there are, off the bat, do you think there are any recommendations you can give us?
I think if you get other RTs to testify or to respond to that question, they're going to say that the requirements for licensure on Guam is a little bit too stringent for them. And my response to that is, I think it needs to be, because they say, compared to wherever they're from, Guam is very hard to get a license, But the reason I think that's appropriate is because we're all the way out here, and we have seen applicants who have, a shady past that were trying to get a license on Guam, and it's been denied. And I think because we're all the way out here, you're going to get those people at the hospital, and they will say, only on Guam. If they were in the States, that's not going to be allowed. Well, that's why we need to have the vetting process that we have at the licensure board, because we need to ensure that we're getting qualified candidates. And I think the process is good right now. We're requiring a lot of things that a lot of places don't, but when you're this far out here, I think it's necessary.
Thank you for that answer.
Is that what
Yes.
you were asking?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
In light of concerns voiced by Ms. Mami Balahaja about practitioners operating without credentials, what will be your focus in addressing these unauthorized practices, and how do you envision collaborating with the other board members to tackle this issue on your board?
Well, there's a law. You know what I mean? If they're practicing without a license, or they should be immediately given a letter of cease and desist, because they might not. You don't know. There's a lot of all these allied health professions. A lot of them, if you don't know what you're doing, you could hurt somebody. So they need to be immediately, I think. And if there's some what you call that? If it's against the law, they should be prosecuted.
I don't have anything further, Madam Chair. I see that Ms. Mami Balaja, as well as the chair of the board, is very much in support of Mr. Cruz, so I don't think I have any further questions or any concerns. I'm looking forward to his passage of his appointment and look forward to voting for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Kanata. So are you aware that there are people operating out there without a license?
Well, we've heard there have been complaints, and you know, I know that we discussed it at the board, you know, and then I think they're given a letter of, you know, the board has to vote, but you know, to vote to send them a letter of cease and desist, you know.
And do they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Does that happen a lot? What's the incidence level of that?
Not a lot. No, I mean, I think during my brief, the recent, more recent, what you tenure on the board, there's only been like 2 that I can recall. Mm-hmm. It doesn't happen very often, but sometimes it does happen.
Okay. And what field were they working in? What type of expertise?
No, I think it was chiropractor.
Both times?
There was, one of them was chiropractor. I don't know I can't recall what the other one was.
Okay.
They were just here to relieve somebody that had gone off island or something and
Oh, okay.
failed to get a license.
Okay, yeah, it's good for the public to be aware of, right? If,
Yeah,
just to make sure that whoever is, you know, they're getting services from. Okay, that's a good thing to highlight, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So, I appreciate you accepting the appointment, the reappointment to this position. As you know, you're dedicated, professional, and you want to serve our community. And so we will accept more testimony. There is time for others to send testimony in by August 15th, I believe. And so testimony can be sent to Senator Terlaje, guam@gmail.com, or hand-delivered here at the Guam Congress Building. So, Situs Masi, for all your work, and, you know, take care. Thank you. Thank you so much. So this public hearing, confirmation hearing, is duly heard. The time is now 2:31 p.m. We will recess until 3 p.m. for the next confirmation hearing. Situs Masi.